So check this out, YouTube. ICP is feuding with Twisted, and right now it's kind of fucked for the fans, especially. I listen to their music, but I wouldn't consider myself a huge fan. But at the same time, you have to acknowledge it for what it is. At least when ICP and Eminem were feuding, ICP fans could pick a side. You know, I didn't really mix in with that bullshit because I didn't care. I liked both Eminem and ICP as rappers. You know what I'm saying? And, but now you got ICP over some bullshit with Twisted. Just, I don't know. And they're going all Christian and shit. A lot of people are feeling like that ICP kind of sold out. It is what it is, you know. You can't really do a whole lot about it. But the fact that ICP come out and said, you better support us and ignore Twisted or you're not a true juggalo. Like, that was some bullshit, dude. Like, straight up, that was some bullshit. Word for the penny wise. That's not a very smart, not a very smart career move, you know. And then you have ICP on Howard Stern with Sharon Osbourne discussing a matter, and apparently they canceled a couple of their tour dates because of issues with the other band they were having. And you know, they insulted Sharon Osbourne. That was completely uncalled for. And then they insulted Ozzy, which, seeing ICP insult Ozzy Osbourne on Howard Stern, I'm just like, man, how immature is that? You know? Like, I'm not trying to talk shit, but Ozzy's been making music, way better music, for a lot longer than ICP has. And yes, Ozzy might have had his falling in and out with Black Sabbath, but he didn't, you know what I'm saying? He eventually got back with them in the end because he realized that that's a smart career move, you know. But here's ICP fighting with Twisted, the people who are trying to help them with their career alongside each other, you know, and that's just, what the fuck, really? And then on the same Howard Stern episode, ICP basically said, fuck it, everybody hates us, why not? We're the most hated band in the world, you know. And at some point, if you're trying too hard to be the most hated band in the world, if that's all you're trying to do, then you're not making music anymore, you're just pissing everybody off, and that's gonna lose sales in the long run. That's truth. Now here's the thing, YouTube. I've seen ICP live in concerts. They were decent. They were awesome performance. But what could have happened between then and now? You know, what could have made ICP just decide that their new album is going to be more Christian, and that all of a sudden they're going to fight with Twisted over some stupid shit. You know, and it's like, what the fuck, dude, really? As far as I'm concerned, if you're capable of standing for the national anthem, you should. I understand there are some people out there right now who are refusing to stand for the national anthem during sporting events for a political protest of some sort. And when it got comments the first time from our president and a bunch of other people, that only encouraged it because that is how it is, you know. But I kind of feel like if you want to get your point across, to people, it seems kind of pointless to insult them. You know, that just defeats the purpose of what you're trying to do. No, I'm not naked on a YouTube video. Fuck that noise. Hold on a second. That's something to make you think. Because I know there's a lot of diehard ICP fans right now out there going, man, what are these guys doing? And on Howard Stern's show, Sharon even said it. You know, she told ICP basically that your career is going down the shitter, you know, and right now it's because you're fighting with Twisted, and that's not helping, you know, because that puts a lot of juggalos and juggalettes at a predicament, you know what I'm saying? And to better explain it, it's like you got juggalos and juggalettes. Okay, let's say one of them likes grape Faygo, but the other one says, nah, cola Faygo, the original's better. Fuck that grape shit, you know what I'm saying? And fucking stupid shit like, oh, you ain't a true juggalo if you're drinking that grape shit, you know what I'm saying? That's basically what ICP did. They told all their fans that you better support us in this feud or you're not a true juggalo. Like, what kind of stupid shit is that? And right after ICP insulted Ozzy, I was just like, nah, dude. Lost a lot of respect for those guys. I'm like, I'll still listen to their music on occasion, but I don't go out of my way to do it just because I'm not a juggalo. And after they insulted Ozzy, they insulted Ozzy Osbourne, I'm like, nah, dude. Ozzy makes way better music, and he's been doing it for a lot longer than you have. And you have some audacity to sit there and talk down and about the godfather of metal like that. Who the fuck are you? Oh yeah, a bunch of clowns wearing makeup. You know, you're trying to be all edgy. And the thing about being edgy is that it's been done before. Bands prior and post ICP have all done shit to try to stand out, you know. But I tend to think if you're trying to get everybody to fucking hate you, that's not gonna work in the long run. I mean, yeah, you might get what you want, but in the long run, you know, that's gonna hurt your music sales. Because I guarantee you there's gonna be a couple of juggalos and juggalettes out there that are gonna be like, wait a second, you're telling me we gotta pick between these two because they're now feuding over some stupid shit? Motherfucker. Basically how it's going down, you know? And there were a lot of juggalos and juggalettes who were more Twisted fans than ICP and vice versa, you know? So of course you're gonna have those sides divided even more. So instead of being a family like it's supposed to be, people are fucking divided on whose side to be on, you know? And that's just, you know. I'm not a juggalo, but I'm pretty sure that's some pretty real talk right there. Yeah. Goddamn tobacco pipe's clogged. Don't get me wrong, when ICP came to Casper, they put on a good show. They did. If I would have stuck with the group I was with, I would have had a much funner time, but I still had a good time nonetheless. It was an awesome concert. You know. But what could have happened to make them do such drastic career moves, you know? I mean, if they would have just stopped at changing their new album to Christian, if they would have just stopped there, to it would have been like, okay, whatever. It's they did talk about in the past, their belief in God and all that bullshit, but that's regardless, you know. Sharon tried to help further their career a little bit, to help extend it just a little bit more. Put them on tour with another band. Some shit went down between ICP and the other band, and they canceled a couple of their dates that they had for concerts. A lot of fans were like, man, that's fucked. And they went on Howard Stern to explain it, and of course Sharon was there like, hey, wait a second. I'm supposed to be paying you guys under my management here to do shows, and you're canceling dates. What's going on here? You know what? I think when you try too hard to be the most hated band in the world, I think eventually you lose a lot of fans, and then you only have yourselves left. And again, I'm not trying to talk shit on ICP. I'm just saying, like, you think they'd have a bit more common sense than that. I mean, just for as long as ICP's been on the music scene, you think by now they'd be smarter than that. Like feuding with the people who you got to the top with. You know what I'm saying? Feuding with the people you got to the top with. And picking fights with other celebrities too. And it's just like, dude, come on. It just seems like a cheesy publicity stunt ICP's doing to make themselves seem like the most hated group on the planet, And I don't know, man. You think it'd be more about the music and not about being the most hated group on the planet. That's all I'm saying. Like, it shouldn't be about being the most hated group on the planet. It should be about the music. That's just my personal opinion. You can take it or leave it, There might be some ICP fans who would agree or disagree with me. Yeah. I just think it's kind of shitty that ICP's making fans side between them and Twisted. Like, nah, B. That's kind of shitty if you ask me. And, I listen to ICP occasionally, but I wouldn't go out of my way to listen to it, especially after they just insulted Ozzy like that on Howard Stern. Like, I was like, fuck that, dude. Like, Ozzy Osbourne makes way better music than ICP ever did, and he's been doing it a lot longer than they have, and they had the fucking nerve. Especially after his wife tried to set up a tour for them and shit, at least. And that's the thing about being a multi-million-dollar musician is that, if you and a certain manager just don't work out, find somebody else, But if they were having an issue with the band they were touring with in the first place, why did they cancel all the rest of their dates for their tour? And then instead, why didn't they just contact Sharon and be like, look, Miss Osbourne, yeah, this other band is not working out. They are blah, 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 blah. Because at the end of the fucking day, you have the musician and you have the record manager, okay? And even though the record manager does a lot on the side while the musician performs, at the same time, they're a team, they coexist like fire and water. You know what I'm saying? Musicians are like the fire that burns the passion inside them, the power of music. And then you got your record managers who are like, whoa now, don't burn out. Here, cool off. You know what I'm saying? Metaphorically speaking. And I kind of felt like maybe it was a misunderstanding. I don't know. But when they try to explain their side of the story, and, you know, like any adult in a heated argument, it just, both sides were back and forth, you know. And, it was just like, wow, why do people do this? You know, why do people do that? You know, and then you got people who are refusing to stand for the national anthem during a football game, or a basketball game, or a hockey game, or whatever. You know, it's like, come on. The fact that brain surgeons and teachers get paid less money than professional athletes, to say it concerns me would be an underestimated, or or what's the word? Under exaggerated bit. Yes, it would be under exaggerated. It's kind of disgusting, you know. Nothing you can do about it. And the fact that we have soldiers that are fighting for their freedom to play these sports and to get paid more than teachers, you think they'd have at least the decency to stand up for their country's song. Put your right hand over your heart. If you're in a wheelchair and you can't stand up, that's understandable. That's excusable for the national anthem. But if you're capable of standing up, fucking stand up. And saying it like that would have been a lot better than insulting a bunch of motherfuckers. And why the fuck are you kneeling? You're not sucking Uncle Sam's dick, are you? I didn't think so. No. So then, you know. When I was in school, it was at the Pledge of Allegiance. It was right hand over your heart, stand to attention. You know what I'm saying? It was a respect thing for your country and for the service, you know. That sort of thing. And one person did it during an NFL game one time, and the president tweeted about it. They didn't like the comments the president made, so they're going to continue doing it to protest, you know, or some shit like that. And it's just like, now if I rewind this video, you'll get a better sense of it. Donald Trump's not the only person talking mad shit.
There's been quite a bit of backlash against NFL players who protested Donald Trump's statements on Twitter in regard to those who refused to stand during the national anthem. Now, one example of that was when Patriots players decided to kneel instead of stand after Trump's tweets. These are players who just stood for the most of the time and then realized, okay, well, we need to unite and we need to support those who want to kneel. Well, Stephen Pena, who is a public official in Brockton, Massachusetts, said some pretty negative things about Patriot players who joined in on the protest. Now, he's with the Parks and Recreation Commission, and he left a comment on a Facebook story about kneeling Patriot players in which he referred to them as turds for taking a knee during the national anthem. But it gets worse. He says, "Turds, your dumb ass isn't paid to think about politics. Dance, monkey, dance." Now, again, this is a public official, right? In Brockton, Massachusetts, he's with Parks and Recreation. He got quite a bit of backlash after he made those statements on a public forum online, and so...
Imagine that, he got a backlash.
Would be meant by monkey. He didn't mean for it to be racist. He says it was not meant to be a racist comment, and if it was taken as such, that's regrettable.
Okay, so look, there is a small percentage chance that this guy's totally clueless and doesn't know that is a derogatory comment aimed at African Americans a great majority of the time. But even if it, even if we grant him that, which I don't, I think it's a small chance that he made an honest mistake. Even if you were to grant him that, though, so your thing is, okay, so if you are an entertainer of any sort, you're my monkey. And so you're, unlike other Americans like plumbers and guys who take care of parks, you're not allowed to have an opinion, and you're not allowed to be concerned that maybe your kids are going to get shot when they're unarmed, like happened to Tamir Rice in Cleveland. You're not allowed to participate in the process because you're there for the entertainment of this Steven Pena guy.
Right.
And so you're supposed to dance for him like a monkey. So it's such an asshole thing to say any way you slice it.
I just feel like, the people who are up in arms and make these types of statements online just fundamentally misunderstand what this country is supposed to be about, right? Political activism, political discourse. I mean, that is the heart of democracy. Making sure that people feel free to speak their mind and say what they need to say about a particular political issue. They don't want that. They want to shut them up. So are you not in favor of free speech? Are you not in favor of a democratic system where people are able to take part in voting and voicing their opinions, in engaging in this type of rhetoric? It's crazy to me.
And if you didn't know that the great majority of the athletes doing it are black, and that that's a derogatory thing to say about blacks, and that might get you in trouble, you also haven't shown very good judgment as a public official. But wait, it's about to get much worse, not for him, but for the next guy.
Yes, okay. So then there's the issue of a volunteer fire chief in Pittsburgh. He was upset because of the Steelers protesting. Now, the Steelers did something a little different from the Patriots. They decided to stay in the tunnel during the national anthem instead of coming out and standing during the national anthem. And so Paul Smith, who is a volunteer firefighter at the Cecil Volunteer Fire Station number 2, posted a derogatory response on Facebook, which was directed at Mike Tomlin. He's the head coach. And he used a racial slur. So I'm not going to say the racial slur. You guys know what it is. But I will read you his comment. He says, Tomlin just added himself to the list of no good N-words. Yes, I said it. So he seemed pretty proud of his statement there. Thought it was bold.
So let's pause there for a second before his eventual backpedal, so he doesn't get himself in trouble. First, and no good N-word. No lack of clarity here. I know that, no matter what anybody says, people always but maybe it wasn't racist.
I mean, that was as clear as you can possibly get. There's no way to spin that.
Yeah, and so remember that the players are protesting in the first place because they're treated as less than equal, and part of the idea here is Black Lives Matter. So here's a guy saying, "Oh yeah, you're a no good N-word," so thereby validating the idea that some people think that your life isn't equal.
Exactly.
And so there's just no lack of clarity. But the second part that's amazing is he's a fire chief, he's a public guy, he says this publicly on Facebook, and feels emboldened to say it. It's okay, I can come out of the closet now. And he adds it, yes, I said it, take that, you N-words. Now, what are we supposed to do here? Are we supposed to have understanding for them? It's crazy. So, what if they're going into a situation where there's a fire in an African American's house? Is he not going to want to rescue them because they're no good N-words?
That's right. So that's, look, the reason why these stories matter, and it's not random private citizens. These are public officials. In this case, we're talking about a fire chief. And if he perceives a certain group of people as less than, as not as important, as not as valuable to society, then does that impact the way he does his job? And you're talking about people's lives here. And that's the reason why it really stood out to me. And it was so clear. What he said was clear. There wasn't any, you can't use the same excuse that the initial person that we talked about used, where it's I didn't know that monkeys was a negative way to refer to black people. In this case, the N-word is not the way that you should refer to black people. You know that that's offensive, beyond offensive.
Yeah, and before we get to his non-apology.
Yeah. It's like calling an autistic an Aspie or a Spurg. Maybe not historically as offensive, but it's the same principle of derogatorily offensive slang, or, you know.
He's the fire chief, so whether he does it consciously or maybe just subconsciously, is he less likely to send people into harm's way into a fire, which is their job, which is an amazing job, by the way, and my nephew was a volunteer firefighter too, and it's a hell of a job. But is he maybe going to take less of a chance if it's an African-American household as opposed to a white household? Well, if he thinks that you're not equal, maybe. And then if your kids die because of, no, we can't have that. That's crazy. So now his non-apology.
He says, I am embarrassed at this. I want to apologize. I was frustrated and angry at the Steelers not standing the anthem. This had nothing to do with my fire department. I regret what I said. But here's the thing. There have been countless times where I've been angry, let's say at a story that we're covering. And my initial reaction isn't to talk about their race or say something disparaging about their ethnicity, their race, their background. Have I said offensive things about certain people? Absolutely. But my mind just doesn't go there. The fact is, mine immediately went to no good N-word. I mean, there's no excuse for that.
Yeah. So there's 1,000 ways to attack people, and we would know. But attacking them based on their race makes no sense at all. So, and look, here, he says, I regret what I said. Well, then, hey, Cenk, is that an apology? No, it just means I regret I got in trouble for it. Remember, his original comment was, yeah, I said it.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, oh, I regret what I said, because he's embarrassed by it. And then but the thing that annoyed me the most was, I don't want, this had nothing to do with my fire department. Yeah, we know that. We're not putting it on your fire department.
We're not on you as the fire chief, who probably shouldn't be a fire chief.
You know why he's saying that? Because he's hiding behind the fire department. Nobody was criticizing your fire department. We were criticizing you. So when you say, I don't want this to be on the fire department, in other words, remember, I'm with the fire department, okay? And it's not fair to blame them. Well, nobody's doing that, so problem solved, okay? So, yes, these guys exist, man. And if you're not black, you could be outraged by it, and we're outraged by it, and that shows that you have empathy, and God bless your heart. But even if you're in that category or not in that category, just think for a second. If you are black in this country, and you know a certain percentage of the police chiefs and the fire chiefs and the guys who drive ambulances, and the list goes on and on, don't think that you're equal to other people, and they think that your life doesn't matter as much.
But don't complain about it, okay? Don't protest in the streets. That would be inconvenient for people. And don't be peaceful in your protest either, where you just kneel during the national anthem. Just don't complain. You're not allowed to.
Yeah.
That's their take.
I even hesitate talking about it to some degree because I feel that it's so depressing. But look, the way that we're going to get past it is to talk about it and to tackle this and to solve this as a country together.
No shit. Okay, so there's two sides to every coin. I see where people are coming from. You should stand for the national anthem, but people are doing it for other political reasons, and it does disgust me, to be quite honest, that there are people out there like that. Like, if you're gonna get your fucking point across, fine, but don't insult other people to do it. That just, half the time, it doesn't even work.